Well. Saturday, January 6th, 2024. It's noon Eastern time. I'm Bob Harris. This is the Football Diehards YouTube channel. And it's time for my weekly Ask Me Anything live stream. Before we get to that, footballguys.com is now the website. We'll talk a little more about that if you need to. I appreciate you joining me here on this YouTube channel every Saturday at this time, also Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for my On the Hot Seat live streams. Hit the subscribe button, the notification bell if you have not already done so. If you previously completed those tasks, like me or whichever suits you. I know, like, if you're just joining me, you haven't been around a little bit. I just did an entire live stream on this 2 weeks ago or a week ago. On today, I made the initial announcement that FootballDiehards.com will not be going forward, suspending operations due to emo Catholic health concerns. If you want to learn more about that, go to my Twitter handle at FootballDiehard, and pinned to the top of the page, you'll find out more about that and more about how you can reach out to Emil and assist him, whether it's a donation, sharing his GoFundMe, or just reaching out and saying, "Hey, Emil, how you doing? Uh, really enjoy your work and appreciate everything you've done." Because he has done a lot for this industry and for me in particular. So any support you can give him is greatly appreciated. I mentioned I'm the new guy at footballguys.com. That'll be my new work home going forward. Also on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio with Mike Dempsey. It'll be the Football Diehards program. I know these things seem kind of like, oh, there's two things. No, there's basically one thing, but the Football Diehards after 30 years, uh, you know, it's still there. Parts of that still exist. So, and I'm part of that. And but I'll be a football guy going forward. So find my work there in the future. You should go check them out. It's a great site. I've known the people there for many years. Many of my new colleagues and coworkers are people who I've had working relationships with. You've seen them in our magazines that you see right now over my shoulder. Fantasy football pro forecast, the Football Diehards magazines, the fantasy football cheat sheets, and the draft book. And so, it seems like a natural landing spot for me. I hope I hope you follow me along over there if you're interested in my work. And if not, I'm sure you'll find something going on, but you'll see me. I'm going to hang around here for a little while and make a transition. I've got some ideas for this page going forward, and we'll see how that all plays out. Hi, Kevin. How you doing? Dame, how are you? Wonderful wintry Saturday morning. Hello to everyone. Good afternoon, Jim. Carpe diem. Let's seize that sucker. Hey, Clinton, how you doing? Good to see you. Kevin, we've got questions here. I'll get to the questions here in a minute. It's week 18, people. It's going to get weird. Hi, Andrew. Andrew says, hi, everybody. There it is. Hi, everyone. Greeting everyone. Appreciate y'all very much. And I will get to the questions here momentarily. So keep it coming in. Week 18 gets really weird, right? All kinds of things going on. There are 2 games today. The Saturday games are pretty interesting in that 3/4 of the teams have something to play for. It's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers at Baltimore for the early game. Just to answer this question. So yeah, I mean, Troy, I don't want to make you go back and rewatch all the videos that I've already done on this, so I'll address some of these things, but much more briefly. If you want like the full thing, go watch Wednesdays on the hot seat with me interviewing me. There were no third-person comments made. But I mean, well, the magazine's futures are being determined right now, and hopefully they will continue on in some form. So, that's to be determined. So watch for that. Keep an eye out. We'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted here or on my Twitter, of course. But we'll get that sorted out. Hi, Scampus. How are you? Good to see you. But again, going back to the games here, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Pittsburgh has things on the line, right? There's things to play for. Maybe even a playoff berth is still possible for them. And also, Baltimore has 0 on the line. The Steelers have beat the Ravens 3 times in a row, 3 times, winning by a total of 10 points. But the Ravens have wrapped everything up. They've got the number 1 seed in the AFC. They are going to rest for Lamar Jackson and others. I don't know that anyone there is safe to play. If you're looking for safe pieces in that game, maybe their name is Melvin Gordon or maybe Justice Hill. I don't know. It seems like a tough call. For the Steelers, seems like everyone's in play and everyone's a safe play. They're going to be playing to win. They scored 30-plus points in each of their last 2 games with Mason Rudolph at the helm. You got to like that, right? What the hell? Mason Rudolph, who knew? So and George Pickens has been phenomenal with Mason Rudolph as the quarterback. Been consistently productive, and that's what we like to see. So Pickens, he's got 11 to 15 targets, 326 yards the past 2 weeks with Rudolph at the helm. And Andrea knows maybe OBJ. I don't know. I thought. Let me see who's ruled out. I thought I might be mistaken. I'll tell you who's out. Odell Beckham is ruled out. Lamar Jackson is ruled out. Zay Flowers is doubtful. Tylan Wallace is questionable. Look, they have to play somebody. They won't be playing. They won't be playing an OBJ or Lamar. I'd be surprised if we see Gus Edwards. You know, I'll be surprised. But I think Andrea's point, is fair here. Somebody's got to play, right? There are only 53 men on the active game day roster. So you can only go so deep. And this applies to the San Francisco 49ers as well. Somebody has to play. Right. So yes. So mining those pieces. But like if you're in the tail end of a season-long championship, and hopefully if you are in one of those, it's like a 2-week affair. If not, I mean, this is tricky business, people. We're going to have a hard time sorting through who are safe plays. I hope you've been out there actively working the waiver wire. If not, if you have some questions about like who possible pivots are, put them in that chat and I will get to those damn questions. We will answer them. So definitely gonna be tricky. The other game, so Pittsburgh, something to play for, all in. Baltimore, all out. They don't give a damn. I almost said something else there, people, and that would have been very embarrassing because I try not to swear on this too much. In real life, I swear constantly. Constantly. People are amazed. People who know me closely are amazed that I don't swear on these things endlessly. So the Houston-Indianapolis game is a phenomenal game. It looks like there are many trustworthy pieces there, right? Jonathan Taylor, although slightly less trustworthy. We'll start with the Colts side. Jonathan Taylor, though slightly less trustworthy. Zach Moss seems likely to play. He's officially listed as questionable. Practiced fully the last 2 days, so it seems like there's something good there going on there. Gardner Minshew, if you had to, yeah. Michael Pittman Jr., if you had to, hell yeah. Alec Pierce, I don't know. It seems like you're reaching a little bit. Josh Downs, viable commodity, right? Tight ends there, a little bit of a mess. Zach Moss, would I play him? Probably not, but could play him. Could play him if I had. If it wasn't like a horrible pinch. But I like with a 60-40 split, Taylor to Moss, that seems like it might almost be too much. Though, Shane Steichen plays the hot hand. So if like Zach Moss came in and got hot, you might see a little more of them. So ideally, it's the trusted pieces here are Minshew, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr. Other pieces that are playable, but probably not ideal: Zach Moss, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. Josh Downs ahead of Alec Pierce. I'm sorry. I should have said that. On the other side of the ball, everyone who's playing is a viable play. Not everyone is playing, said Noah Brown. Not me. Noah Brown's ruled out of this game. Robert Woods is questionable. I think one of the things we see when other pieces are hurt, the pieces that aren't hurt are really busy. CJ Stroud will be throwing the ball. CJ Stroud, trustworthy. Devin Singletary, trustworthy. Nico Collins, super trustworthy. It's a really good matchup for Nico Collins, in my estimation. Look at here, a little stat here. The Colts have allowed the third highest completion percentage on throws of 20-plus yards down the field. CJ Stroud has the second highest quarterback rating, third highest completion percentage, 5 passing touchdowns, and 0 interceptions on throws of 20 yards down the field. Yes! So play that. Dalton Schultz, trustworthy. I mean, not high end, it seems like, but trustworthy. So those are the Saturday games. We can get into other games. I see the questions are piling up. Andrea's asking about Singletary, super trustworthy. I have him inside the top 20. He is also there on the FootballGuys.com rankings. I think they have 15. So there you have it. I think he's a super solid play. And we'll talk about some of these other teams as the questions come up, or if we're out of questions, I might just dip into some of the games that I find most interesting. I have a chart. This is how it all works, people. A chart. It's like, because I'm an old drummer, you chart out, you hear a song, you chart it out, right? Do the same thing with football games. Who knew? All right. Behind the scenes stuff. I'm sure you're very impressed. With guitars, I don't chart anything. I just try to keep up. All right, here we go. Question time. Kevin's wife needs a flex for their family league 2-week final. Glad to hear that, man. Like, again, I don't want to be dismissive of people playing week 18. It's a full damn year. If you've heard me on here before, I kind of liken it to diving. If you watch the Wide World of Sports or the diving competitions back in the day when they explain the scores, we throw out the high, we throw out the low, we average the rest, and the degree of difficulty. Every dive is assigned a degree of difficulty that adds to the points. Well, that's like week 18. There's an extra degree of difficulty. It's higher than every other week, but it doesn't get you any extra points. Maybe that's something we need to consider in the future if we're playing week 18. Ferguson, McLaurin, or Lockett. I'm not against Jake Ferguson. I feel like McLaurin for me. Lockett has a good matchup. They have something to play for in Seattle. Geno Smith gets $2 million if they make the playoffs. Lockett didn't have a great last game against the Cardinals. He seems like he's a little hit or miss. I'm probably going to go with McLaurin here. I know that there's an argument. People will be asking about this, so I'll just get it out of the way right here, and they'll ask again if they aren't here. By the way, thanks for coming. Appreciate y'all. Happy Saturday. If it's going to be a blowout, the Dallas game's going to get ahead and they're going to pull all their starters. Well, they got ahead somehow, right? So I'm less fearful. I mean, is it ideal? No. But if Dallas is going to, what is the total on that game? Or what was the last total I saw in that game? It was, I want to say fairly high. Hello. 46.5 points, right? So, and Dallas is, what is the spread? I have to look at these things. I should look at them in advance, you think. So, I mean, Dallas is, the applied total is pretty good there. So, I mean, does that mean the starters get 100% of the points? No. But does it mean they get 75%? Yes. Maybe more? Yes. So, and also, we can get into it if anything pops up. Ask me about incentives. I have a list here that I can look into, but those matter. Like in Puka Nakua's case, he needs 29 yards to break the rookie receiving yard record, long-standing record. They're going to get him that record. They will pepper him with targets until he has 29 yards, and then you're likely not to see him again. So I'm going McLaurin, Ferguson, Lockett, and I'm probably overstating my Lockett fear. It just seems like too hit or miss for me. Ferguson seems a little bit more, and maybe that's the thing, Kevin. If you're looking for a swing for the fence play, it's McLaurin, then Lockett, then Ferguson. If you're looking for just a safe floor play, I'm going to go McLaurin, Ferguson, then Lockett. Clinton, hello. Takes me a second to find questions. I'm very accomplished at this platform. You can see 6-point passing TDs. Stidham, Howell, Gabbert, or Tannehill. Stidham's playing the Raiders. They've been pretty tough recently. That's a little bit of a concern to me, right? I hate that part of it. I feel like I'm going to default to Howell on a lot of these because I've seen him more. I'm checking some of the rankings out here. I mean, these guys are all in the same range. You're guessing a little bit with them. I feel like Sam Howell, you're getting the least guesswork. And if that's we got the 46-point total on that one. What do we got the total on the Denver? I feel like the Raiders have been playing better. We got a 37-point total on Denver, on the Denver Raiders game. I'm probably going to lean to Sam Howell here. I mean, to me, it's between Stidham and Howell, and that's where I'm going to lean. Look, if you feel like you're swinging for the fence, Clinton, I mean, Gabbert is probably my least favorite because there's going to be not a lot of associated pieces, but the pieces he will be playing with are probably guys he threw to in practice a lot. And Tannehill, I guess if I'm sitting here mulling the possible outcomes for this game, DeAndre Hopkins, I think, has some incentives to reach, but I don't know if he'll get them. Derrick Henry, do they want to send him out with a hoorah or a thud? I feel like it's a hoorah. It's only a feeling. It's only my hunch. If you don't share in that hunch, I still don't know that I'd go all in on Tannehill. Even though that said, it's a super favorable matchup. So I'm semi-torn here, but I feel like, to me, Howell is the most known commodity, and maybe you don't like what you've seen of that commodity, right? That is also, I'm not going to be dismissive of that. Let's see if I got any other numbers here that Sam Howell, let's see, 10 interceptions, 3 touchdown passes the last 6 games. Washington's pass protection, though, has been good. Better lately. He's only been sacked 3 times in the last 3 games. Dallas did sack him 4 times in the last meeting. By the way, McLaurin needs 54 yards to become the first player in Washington franchise history with 4 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons. He's averaged 52 yards a game. So going back to the last question, I'm probably playing Howell here, Clinton, as I sort through all that. Yeah, go. So of course, Happy to help, Troy. You know that. Hi, Dominic. Here's a question. I like these questions. Happy New Year to you, also, Dominic, and thanks for all your support here. So let's pretend it's next year is now. We don't have to pretend. It's next year. It's 2024. We've already started this. We talked about this on the Football Diehard program. Who would be your picks in a PPR league? Your first overall pick, your quarterback one, running back one, wide receiver one, and tight end one. I think we'll start with the quarterbacks. I mean, it's going to be Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen at 1A and 1B. I doubt that I'm going to be drafting that early, though. If they continue to go as early as they have, and they're the two now, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, off year, I might be looking to gain some value on him if he drifts down, but I think you're going to see a shift in the quarterback drafting this year. I think it turns out JJ Zachariason had it right early on, late round QB. We've experimented, dabbled the last couple of years. My approach has been the last couple of years, like wherever I hit a spot that I don't love a skill player at another position, I was okay taking a quarterback, whether that was, rounds 2 or 3 with maybe Josh Allen, Hurts, maybe Mahomes, whether it was rounds 4, 5, 6, there was a range of players going there. Lamar Jackson, maybe Lamar Jackson is probably going to be on the quarterback one discussion, or maybe even ahead of Mahomes next year, not unrightfully so. I think, Brock Purdy and CJ Stroud will be in the top 10 conversation, but I do think it's going to be locked in on Hurts and Allen and kind of their 1A and 1B because of the rushing touchdowns, right? They're both tied at 15 right now. Hopefully they battle for who gets more. I've got some investments there in DFS, I'm sure. So yeah, those are the two. Running back one is going to be without a doubt, for me, Christian McCaffrey. I did this last week. I don't do it again and belabor the point, but I went back and reread what I wrote about Christian McCaffrey heading into last season when he was my running back one. And all I have to do is minor tweaks on the numbers. Everything I said about him 100% holds up. This is me doing a small victory lap that, yes, I was right about Christian McCaffrey. Woo! It's not hard to be right about Christian McCaffrey, right? The skill set, the 3-down skill set, the scheme, the utilization, the volume, these are things I'm looking for. Kyron Williams will be in the conversation, I believe. Maybe people will be dialed back on him after getting burned by Cam Akers to a degree. Did you get burned by him in the 6th, 7th round, 5th round? Yeah, you got burned by him, but this seems to be a locked-in thing. That said, I mean, we can go back 2 years ago to Kyron Williams being everyone viewed a failed pick, a satellite back who came up short. Right? And here he is, one of the dominant backs in the NFL. And dominance in terms of volume. That's, to me, what I'm going to be looking for. My wide receiver one next year, I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be in the conversation with Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson will be locked in if Kirk Cousins returns as the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. If not, I'm going to be a little bit, I don't want to say dialed back, but I'm going to be watchful. I'm going to be mindful and look at my other options. Jamar Chase is going to be in that conversation. Hopefully he and Joe Burrow are both healthy and get in a full year. I think if that's the case, you have to rank him up there. Tyreek Hill is in that conversation. It's going to play at least 1 more year, maybe 2 more years. But if no other things change, materially there's no reason to believe he won't continue to be a dominant fantasy force. So I'm not against him. Those will be the guys in the conversation. As I sit here right now, it's for me, it's probably going to be CeeDee Lamb. You see the way that offense is working. And one of the things that I keep pointing to is going back to the Thanksgiving Day game when Dak Prescott was getting interviewed at halftime, and he talked about this is the most comfortable he's ever been in an offense. Kudos to Mike McCarthy for creating that offense. Tony Pollard managers are sitting out there saying, "Really? Are you really going to say that?" Yeah, misuse of Tony Pollard or miscasting of Tony Pollard aside, this offense has been on point, dominant, right? The passing attack in particular, CeeDee Lamb in particular. Think back to the days of the Green Bay Packers of Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, when they were in the red zone situations. Devontae Adams on those bubble screens, he takes a step back, Rodgers hits him, he's almost unstoppable. CeeDee Lamb looks the same on those crossers over the middle of the field. Like, nobody can keep up with him. They can, they have him so mismatched against the coverages that he's running 5 yards free of everybody across the middle of the field, and then he can do something with the ball after the catch. Love that. So probably if you're being objective, it's he and CeeDee Lamb right now. Justin Jefferson will enter the conversation depending on the quarterback. Tight end is probably going to be I mean, people are going to be tempted to say Sam Laporta. I am tempted to say Sam Laporta. I'm going to go with the provisional Sam Laporta. One caveat being what happens with Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator there. We saw in Philadelphia this year, I think, the impact that the coordinators leaving can have on players that we're interested in. You know, in all due respect to Brian Johnson, you know, the defensive brain trust in Philadelphia, they come up short in both sides of the ball. Oh, I think short of expectations, right? Probably if you asked AJ Brown, he would tell you that right now. Wouldn't have said that earlier in the season, would he? So there's where I'm at. Tight end one is, you know, I think the conversation, the question is what kind of value are we going to get on Travis Kelce? Travis Kelce's been a first round pick, you know, the vast majority of drafts I've been in the last 2 years. I think that'll change. He will not be that. See, is there news? Injury report? Mitch Morris said, okay. Injury updates, nothing that matters. But I think that's going to be the question. And that's going to be the question about all these players. So I think it's probably going to be viewed as Laporta. I think, well, you know, TJ Hawkinson now with the torn ACL late in the year and MCL. So it's going to take a little longer. When those multiple injuries happen, they tend to let the first one heal before they do the surgery. So players can begin their rehab right away. So that's a little bit of an issue. But that's going to be the question, right? Trey McBride, where does he fit in? He's going to be in that conversation as well. So I think, you know, for Dynasty, it'd be easy. It's Laporta, McBride. And I think, you know, thinking we can get one more year out of Kelce. What were the issues for the Chiefs offense and Kelce? I think we'll put some study into. I don't think that Patrick Mahomes isn't as good. Patrick Mahomes, you can say. I mean, like, everyone just assumed that Eric Bieniemy's role was minimized by Andy Reid being the play caller, etc. We now have Matt Nagy in the coordinator role. It's a change of coordinators, and things are going to work out the way we want. I'm going to go back and look at that. And it's something, as I mentioned, with Ben Johnson in Detroit. If he's gone, do we have that same offense? Is there the same? I feel like it will be. I feel like the Lions are built to, you know, under Dan Campbell, a way that they could deal with that. But maybe I thought that Nick Sirianni had the Eagles in that same spot as well. And he didn't. I don't think. What do you think? Put it in the comments, people. This is a dialogue. So there you have it, Dominic. I'm not. I have to double check the weather. I'll be honest with you, Troy. Let me check. I haven't heard anyone talking about it, so I guess I haven't been too excited about it. So let me look. So we got rain, 37 degrees, 99. So it is going to rain. What was a game that there, like, I want to say in Baltimore 2 weeks ago, where like mega points were scored and it was pouring rain? Just generally speaking, Troy, and you probably know this, you've been around me enough to know, I tend to be weather agnostic. It's December, January football. It's played in bad weather and points are scored. Is it ideal? No. Do I have other options? Maybe I'm looking for other options. If you're playing the Saturday slate, how many options do you have? If you're going to go all in on the other game, then yeah, that's perfectly fine. But I don't know how you can avoid that. So it's not ideal weather, but it's not like, you know, it's cold and rainy. I think I can think of worse. It's heavy rain. There's strong gusty winds, occasionally blowing diagonally across the field, will make passing and kicking difficult. It doesn't make it difficult. It doesn't give me the gust temperature. So if it is a concern, it's definitely going to be weather, Troy. So if it's a concern, jump off of that one and into the other one. Hi, Jeff. How are you? Good to see you. Andrea asking about Singletary, and Troy chimed in on that. I'd like at least 75 because he has the incentive to hit. Yes, he has an incentive to hit. That's for sure. I think he's in a good spot, right? You know, against this Indy defense. And also, you know, a good goal line role. Dameon Pierce has, you know, been relegated to kickoff return duty and you know, essentially change of pace backup role to Singletary. So I do have Singletary. I want to say right outside my running back one range. I know on Football Guys right now he's ranked 15th. Overall, so I think that kind of corresponds. Dalton Schultz needs 6 receptions. If we want to play the game here, let's play the game because I do think it's relevant. Let's do this. Let's see. Odell Beckham has needs, but he's been ruled out. Austin Eckler needs 110 yards of total offense, 110 yards of scrimmage. That gets him 100K. doesn't seem likely. DeAndre Hopkins, I told you about this earlier, 49 yards for $1 million, 7 catches for another 250,000. And why are we saying this? Why are Troy and I focused on this? Because it matters. Teams try to get these incentives to players. I know you're thinking, well, it costs them money. Well, it's money that's planned in, right? It's in their contracts. He gets $500K if he hits 75% of the snaps played on the year. He's currently sitting at 72%. So I think, one of the things that's easy to get is catches. So if they just hit him with those short, easy passes. Tyreek Hill, 248 yards to be the number one, to have the NFL record overall. And by these, this has all been compiled by Sal Vetri on Twitter. You can check him out at Sal Vetri DFS. But this is good information. 5 receivers have gone over 200 yards this year, including Tyreek Hill in week 1. Geno Smith, I mentioned, $2 million bonus if they make the playoffs. And it's a super favorable matchup. So think about that. Dalton Schultz, as Troy mentioned, 4 catches to get 250,000, 6 catches, another 250,000 for getting 60 on the year. The Colts allowed the 8th most catches to tight ends. Jordan Love, also extra motivation this week, according to Sal. If Packers win and make the playoffs, he gets $500,000. He would then be eligible to earn another $500,000 for every playoff win. Yes, that's good. Singletary, as Troy mentioned, he's 165 to earn 125K. So there's that. Colts are not good at stopping the run. Madison needs 124 yards. He's not going to get it. Going against the Lions, and he's behind Ty Chandler. Anything else exciting on there? No, that's pretty much the most exciting of those. Oh, you mentioned it, the 74 yards. That's the yards from scrimmage that Singletary needs. So passing, receiving, so 125K bonus. You are correct. So there's a lot of that going on. Good morning. There was the Baltimore Rams game in the weather, right? That was the one in horrible weather. Andrew, you're not watching. I do pay attention to that, Andrea, and I write articles on it. So you can read my articles about it. You don't have to watch. It was the Rams Ravens. That is correct. Let's see. See if I can find any comments here before I get back into the questions. Hello, there. So yes, Troy, keep throwing those in the chat because those are really good. And I do think, I know there's a lot of people, the conversation is not necessarily, oh, wow, teams don't want to pay this money. Yes, they do. It's good for the team. It's good for morale. It's great in the locker room. They've already budgeted for it. Right. I mean, all these things are true. They're not looking to not pay. They have the money. So they're looking to pay. And you will see oftentimes they will put great deals of effort into getting players to their incentives or to records as well. Like if someone's closing in on a record, if they can get that, they try to get it. You will see Sean McVay's comments on Puka Nacua. I'll tell you this. I mean, if you watch, oftentimes you'll see the sideline video or the mic'd up video. The coaches will be talking about this, and they know this going into the game. They know exactly how much these guys need. So, yes. In real football, who do you think ends up in the Super Bowl and who wins it all? So I'm going to have to do this. If you play in postseason fantasy tournaments, and you should go out to Matt Donnelly's Twitter feed at Matt Donnelly FF. He's doing the Dynasty Vipers Challenge, playoff challenge. I do it every year. I'm doing it this year. And it's a $25 entry fee. There are a number of great prizes from all across and in the fantasy industry. And the cool thing about this is it's going to all the entries, 100% of the money is going to Emo Cadlic's GoFundMe. So prizes from Football Guys, Matt Harmon from Reception Perception, subscription there. Fantasy Guru site will have a subscription there. Fantasy Points, Rotoballer, Fantasy Alarm, and the grand prize winner of this contest will get an invitation to the Scott Fishbowl 14. Yeah. So it's me, Jules McClain. I don't know if you guys know Jules. Jules is an amazing fantasy high stakes player. Appeared in many of the magazines for many years since she got into high stakes. She's legendary. Howard Bender, Harmon will be playing in this. Love Matt Harmon. So look into that. And I've retweeted a couple times, but go to at Matt Donnelly FF, and it's pinned to the top of his page. Sign up for that. Have a good time. But when you're playing in these, I digressed. When you're playing in these, one of the things you want to do is you have to you kind of do the brackets, right? And you have to go through and plot out because they're one and done tournaments. So you want to save the guys you think are playing longer for the later games, obviously. And you want to And you want to, there are a number of strategies here. I mean, we'll maybe talk about this as we head into the postseason because it's really fun. I love playing these. We've done it every year. Sirius usually does one for both listeners and hosts. And so I'll see if they're going to do that. And that's a free one if you want to get into that. But there's some strategies we use. Mike Dempsey and I have done these many years. You play like at the onesie positions. There's a strategy for quarterbacks and tight ends. You play one conference all the way up so that when you get to the Super Bowl, you have somebody left, right? So maybe whether you pick NFC or AFC, you stick on that side of the slate for the entirety on your onesie positions. So when you get to the Super Bowl, you're not caught without a quarterback or a tight end. So there you have it. So who do I think ends up and wins it all? That was a long way to get to there. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I mean, just as I sit here objectively looking right now, Baltimore and San Francisco look like the teams with all the momentum and all the pieces. And so that'd be where I sit. And I think, that'd be a repeat of what we saw last time we saw Joe Flacco in the Super Bowl. Maybe we see him again. Joe Flacco rejuvenation, Browns heading into the playoffs as well. So that's kind of, Dominic, just seat of my pants, without giving it a ton of thought. Analysis there is they're very good and they have a lot of momentum. That's high end. That's hashtag analysis. There you go. What do we got here? PPR, the wife indeed. Brian Robinson against Dallas, Ty Chandler against the Lions, Jordan Mason against the Rams. Jordan Mason seems like an interesting pick. Matthew Barrows from The Athletic said earlier this week he felt like Jordan Mason would be the lead guy there ahead of Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell had an illness early in the week, but he's off the injury report to end the week. So I think it might be a little more of a mix, but maybe it is Mason. But I think of these guys, I'd probably play, I'd like to play Ty Chandler because I think he's got the workload, but there's no meat on that running bone when you're playing against Detroit, right? It's been consistent throughout the year. So, Brian Robinson Jr. has a role in the passing attack. So I'm probably going to lean that way. Let me just look at some rankings. Let me look at some rankings, damn it. I think that's the appropriate thing to do. Let's see here. Okay, team. There we go. Yeah. I'm trying to confirm my suspicions here a little bit. Wow. Maybe Chandler is the play. So I want to play the volume mostly. So it's between Robinson and Chandler for me. The football guys rankings like Chandler more. I don't like the matchup at all, but I do like the volume or the anticipated volume. Also, I'd probably lean Robinson, but it's pretty close. Clinton Foster says, yeah, he does have. It's true. He does have pieces. I just don't. I'm not keen on that Raider defense, and I'm not keen on the total. But I do have. I mean, those are the two, right, Clinton? It's Stidham and Howell. I mean, I think that's definitely the path I'm going down. And I didn't even think about Sutton. And you're right, he is back. Sutton's a bigger piece to me. Sutton's a piece that needs to be considered, right? I think for sure. Mark Spafford, just stopping by to wish you and Emo my best. I met Emo in 2008 at the WCOFF in Las Vegas. We were in the same league together and faced each other in week 13. The winner made the playoffs. That's a great story. I love that. Drop him a note, Mark. Emo.cavlick@gmail.com. He'd love to hear from you. And really appreciate all your, you being around here, being part of the chats and live streams over the course of time. Love your questions. Have a good time. Appreciate you, man. Which kicker would I go with? Tucker or Elliott? Let me double check that. I think look, I'm weather agnostic. I'm not stupid. That's always the saying here. If it's going to be super gusty winds, I'd probably lean Elliott here over Tucker for that reason, right? Also, you wonder how much scoring we're going to see here from Baltimore. I mean, all due respect to Tyler Huntley and the pieces are going to be there. Probably an easy call for me. And thank you, Eric, for that. I appreciate you. Sounds like Said I got something in my throat. Coffee will cure that, right? By the way, Football Diehards on the Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio tonight, 9 to midnight. We'll have Sam Wagman from Football Guys on. We'll have Chris Batistel from Fantasy and Frames on. We'll have Eric Romoff from this very chat and Football Diehards on. By the way, live stream tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Eric and Jamie, dial it up, DFS, wall to wall, top to bottom, soup to nuts, every damn thing you need to know about DFS. These guys are amazing. They go through each matchup and give you all the plays, know all the prices, have everything off the top of their head. It's incredible content. Don't miss it. So the rules are probably on the you'll get an email from My Fantasy League once you're signed up. It'll send you and you'll accept, and then you'll be able to look at the rules. So they'll be coming to you. Excellent, Troy. That's fantastic. Appreciate that, man. What about the flex? What about it? Woken Brilliance. Chase. That's Jama. I'm saying that like, you guys, this is inside baseball stuff. The guy who writes for the Bengals website is Jeff Hobson. Jeff Hobson has been doing this since forever. When I got into this business, I think in 1993, he was there. Maybe started a little later, but not much. At the Cincinnati Enquirer, he wrote for all the Cincinnati newspapers. He's one of the first big newspaper writers to go to the team websites and write for the team websites. They all started doing, putting out their own media, right? And he was one of the first guys. But when you talk to him, he has a fantastic Boston now. Jama. So there. I don't know how interesting that was. Actually, interesting to me. Chase, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. I might go Aaron Jones here. I think that's my lean. Aaron Jones. So I think the Henry play is a little hunchy for me. Right. I feel like they're going to send him out. I don't know that they're going to send him out. I think Aaron Jones is a locked in play. There's no AJ Dillon this week. Right. He's been ruled out already. So that's a locked in play for me. And if Derrick Henry has a big game, I wish this game was in Jacksonville. He's right from outside Jacksonville, and a little extra incentive there. This is maybe his last game as a Titan. I'm guessing it is his last game as a Titan. So I think that's kind of worth noting. But in this case, and so the Bengals, do they have things to play for? Yes and no. Yes and no. You talk to players on team. Listen to the coach. He's going to tell you, I believe they are winless currently in their division. I think they'd like to not be that. For one, I think they would like to finish with a winning record. They're at 8-8 right now. You got Jeff Driscoll starting for the Browns. That's a good sign for them on that side of the ball. I want to say, just try to see if there's been anything suggesting we won't get a full dose of Chase. I mean, we know T. Higgins isn't going to play. I mean, would it surprise me if they said, "Hey, Jamar Chase is not healthy. We have a long-term future in mind." But I do know they want to win. So there's a fine line. There's a bit of a hazy area here when we get into this week. There's playing to win, and there's going all out. Like I think when I listen to Dan Campbell and he's doing the playing to win thing, because I think they can what can they move from 7 to 6 or 6 to 7? They're where they are. They can't gain a lot of ground in the postseason. Not a lot of advantage here to be had. And so they're going to play to win, but are they going to play all their starters? I don't know that means that. There's usually a little bit of coach speak going on there when you get to this point of the year where and I think Zach Taylor's at that same, okay, yeah, we want to win this game. We have things to play for. Pride is on the line. Well, do you risk your long-term future at wide receiver or does Jamar Chase risk his, we heard him talking yesterday about waiting until Justin Jefferson's deal is done to get his long-term deal done. He's waiting for a long-term deal. So it'll be interesting. I talked a little bit about this, Steve, and I'll get back to the other questions above, but I saw this and I kind of talked to Steven a few minutes ago. Yes. I think teams do allow individual milestones. I think teams encourage this. I think teams want this to happen mostly. Right. I mean, there's probably instances where they don't. And there are bigger picture things like pulling Russell Wilson, out of the starting lineup for contractual reasons. Well, that's a whole different ball of wax, right? That's not a $250,000 bonus or a $500,000 bonus or $1 million bonus. That's 37 million guaranteed dollars on the line, right? So that's a whole different order of magnitude. So I think circumstances like that shouldn't be lumped together with players looking for incentives. Yes, the Denver Broncos are being fiscally responsible to the point they can by not putting them at risk of being on the hook if Russell Wilson is hurt. Right? That's a whole different thing than making sure Joe Blow gets 6 catches to make $250K. I think they definitely try to do that. I don't think they worry about the money there. Durfboy22 says pick 3: Walker, Taylor, Achane, Hall, Elijah Mitchell, Zamir White, standard league. So if this is a super easy call, if Mostert is ruled out, and that's a Sunday night game, isn't it? Damn it! So it's not going to be an easy call. Mostert is questionable right now. Achane would be an easy call. I do believe, I don't know that I have a great feel that Mostert can play, but I like a lot of these guys, right? Like Hall at the top of my running back rankings. I think Zamir White is totally playable. Kenneth Walker's off the injury report going against the Arizona Cardinals. Count me in there. So if I had to rank these guys, it would be Hall. I want to say Taylor and Walker would probably be my top 3. Now, if you're concerned that Walker's shoulder is going to be an issue, then pivot away to Zamir White. I think that's a good group, Durf Boy, and that's exactly how I see it. Once I talk through it a little bit, Achane's in the conversation, but I don't, like he might be Achane would move ahead of Walker if I thought, or at least up in that conversation. I think Hall and Taylor would probably stay in place for me. Yeah, I think Achane would, but that's the determining factor for me. And Achane could still have a good game even with Mostert, but I think looking for more volume, I'd probably go the other way. So to put a fine point on it, after I just gave that long convoluted answer, Hall, Walker, Hall, Taylor, Walker in that order. Achane moves ahead of Walker for sure. Hell, he might even move ahead of Taylor if I knew there wasn't going to be a Mostert. So if something happens later today where Mostert is ruled out, sometimes teams do that. It's not a traveling day for them. I think it's at Miami, right? Let me look at that before I say that. Yeah, it's at Miami. So they're not traveling, so we won't get a little advance notice that he's not making the trip or something like that. That's usually a little tell or a big tell that we look for. In Flacco, we trust. I trust him too, man. I was telling people to play him last week in a tough matchup. Sometimes, you've heard my lengthy discussions about how we overplay, and it's totally natural, right? Totally natural to think, wow, this is a really tough matchup. I'm going to avoid this. Well, it's a tough matchup both ways, right? Joe Flacco has proven to be a tough matchup for opposing defenses because he's willing to throw the ball. Kevin Stefanski is able to run the offense he designed. This is the offense we're seeing right now that got him hired to be the coach of the Cleveland Browns. Not the one we've seen, not that run-heavy approach. I mean, that's by necessity because of the quarterback position. Joe Flacco is allowing them to unlock Kevin Stefanski's brain power, which is what got him hired in the first place. So I'm excited to see this, and we'll see what happens going forward. I'm not going to overstate the case. I mean, Joe Flacco is not the best quarterback of all time. He's far from it, but he's willing to uncork the ball, put it in tight windows, have faith in his receivers, in the receiving talent that he has, and they're very good receivers, said Amari Cooper. Among the best in the league, said Amari Cooper. Apparently, David Njoku would like a word about that too. Jamie is the man. Jamie's fantastic. Eric too. Hi, Remy. How you doing? Will George Pickens be a wide receiver 1 next year, or will he be unpredictable and drafted way too early? George Pickens is this year is Calvin Ridley, right? I mean, we're gonna or 2 years ago or the year before last, Gabe Davis, who we drafted on a single game, right? A fantastic playoff game against Kansas City. We may well draft George Pickens, and by we I mean not me, but we. The fantasy world may draft George Pickens based on a strong finish. So it's a fine line between being aggressive and pursuing a player you think is going to break out. I think he probably would have. People who drafted him this year probably feel like they overpaid for him, although they're getting something here right at the end of the season. I think on the whole, they feel like they overpaid for him if they were paying up this year. But there will be people who pay up last year based on this strong finish. And that player is there. Just like the 1,400-yard season Calvin Ridley is there. By the way, it sounds like Christian McCaffrey or Christian Kirk might be activated this week. I don't know that I'd expect a ton from him, but this is a favorable passing matchup for Jacksonville, assuming, Trevor Lawrence is good to go, even if it's CJ Beathard. And if all the pieces are there, if you have Christian Kirk, you have Zay Jones, that's good news for Calvin Ridley, right? Who has flashed at times, but hasn't been that high-end play that we drafted him to be. I wonder if George Pickens won't be in that same boat. We may be overdrafting him based on this super strong finish. But there's a reason we're excited about this. This kind of confirms what we hoped he could be. We're starting to see that he is capable of achieving his potential. He's a super great playmaker, super talented player. If the Steelers can put him in the right position. Is Mason Rudolph going to be the quarterback of the future? I don't know. Is Russell Wilson? I don't know. Russell Wilson throws a nice deep ball. We'll see. Maybe it's Kenny Pickett. Maybe they haven't lost faith in him, although it feels like maybe they have. How many have I won in my career? It's been 30 years. I have no idea. I play in so many leagues and have played over time. The last 2 years is what I'm more interested in. And the last 2 years, it's been like 4. And this year it was 1, and I'm intensely irritated that it was not at least 2. I wanted to really defend my Kings Classic Auction League championship. Me and Curtis said something. Curtis Patrick from Rotoviz, who beat me this year. He and I, over the course of the history of this league, have 50% of the belts in that league. So I wanted to do a little better in the flex best ball. I'm a former champion there 2 years ago, won the championship there. So I would have liked to. I got to go look at final numbers. By the way, best ball payouts are there. It was a good best ball year, that's for sure. Money transferring as we speak. So here's the thing, JSC, and I know this sounds like a wishy-washy cop out. I play in way too many leagues. My job, if you're familiar with what goes on the Football Diehards website, I've been writing 50 plus articles a day, news updates, etc. So I'm not out there grinding the waiver wire like other people are. That might change going forward. Beware, people. I'm going to have a little more time to focus on my teams, and I'm probably going to play in fewer teams. I say that every year, and it's a total lie every year. Came close. I think I was in, I want to say 5 semifinals, 6 playoff teams out of like 36. So, my job is not winning me titles. It's winning you titles. And I know, sounds like a cop-out. Kind of is, but it kind of isn't. JSC, Browns are better off with Joe Flacco than Deshaun Watson going forward. I think everything but $230 million guaranteed dollars would agree with you. The reality is, Joe Flacco has showed something, though. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting situation for them over the course of time. All right. Next question. Last one. Don't make it the last one. We have time for more. Woken Brilliance. Last one. Tight end. Juwan Johnson, Johnny Munt, Tyler Kraft, PPR. And is Khalil Herbert startable for RB? I don't know. I don't want to, we tend to, connect unconnected dots, right? In all things, right? That's how conspiracy theories start and things like that. But in this case, Khalil Herbert had a back issue. He was limited the first 2 days. Then he was gone Friday for personal, or did not practice due to personal matter. Well, we've seen this movie before. We saw it 2 weeks ago, and Deontay Foreman was gone for personal matter and then was inactive. Who knows if these are even remotely similar circumstances? I have no idea, but it's a concern, right? And I think it's a late afternoon kickoff there. So you better have a fallback plan in place if you want to play Khalil Herbert. I would like to play him in this game. I would, if I could. I don't know for sure that I can. Tyler Kraft is the tight end I'm playing. Luke Musgrave could be back, but it's his first game back from a lacerated kidney. I wonder if they won't be a little bit cautious. And Kraft has kind of emerged. They've got a lot of questionable receivers there to go down the list. I think most of them will play. Let me run you down the list. By the way, Juwan Johnson is questionable, but I think he will play. Alvin Kamara, I'm not so sure about for the Saints. Let me get to my Packers list here because there's a lengthy list of people. A.J. Dillon out. I mentioned that. Luke Musgrave, questionable. I think he's probably going to be back. Jaden Reed, questionable. I think he'll play. Christian Watson, questionable. I think he's less certain. Dontavian Wicks, he was practicing fully. He's questionable, so I would expect him to play. So even if all those pieces play, I still wouldn't dial back on crap. But thinking like one or more might be gone, that would seal the deal for me. And Juwan Johnson being questionable, I think he will go. The Month has got a great matchup, right? So I don't want to say he's out of the equation. I want to just look at the latest rankings to see where Month falls, because I think that's an interesting outlier play. And he is that. I might prefer Davis Allen playing with Carson Wentz, right? Against San Francisco, who's not great at the. Yeah, Tucker Kraft is a pretty easy call for me here. Hope that's helpful to you, Woken Brilliance. Good luck to you. Hoping for a reincarnation of Randy Moss this year with Pickens. By the way, if you just tuned in or you're just like going, okay, who is this guy? I am Bob Harris. Last 30 years as a proud football diehard. Senior editor of that website will be suspending operations or have suspended operations. I'll be moving on to footballguys.com. You can find my work there. Go check it out. It's a great website. Great cast of characters working there. So hope you can look there, and you'll continue to hear me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. That show has kind of become a brand unto itself for football diehards on SiriusXM with me and Mike Dempsey. We'll be on tonight. Sam Wagman from Football Guys. Not coincidentally. It is kind of coincidentally. Sam's just a great guest. You've seen him on the live stream here as well. Sam Wagman will be on first hour. We'll have Chris Batistel from Fantasy and Frames second hour. Great analyst there. Fantasy and Frames is doing great stuff too. Also, Eric Romoff from Football Diehards. And check out the live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Jamie and Eric will be doing their usual thing, chopping up, breaking down, dissecting, and examining all the minutiae that will make you money in DFS for each and every game on the slate this week. Check all that out. Football Diehards then Monday, Thursday, Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday next week will be on 3 to 5 because there are games on. So I'll advise you of that as we get closer to that. Might screw up my live stream next week, but we'll see. So there we go. Promotions and whatnot. Questions. Non-PPR. H.A. James Cook, Rashad White, the Zamir White pick 2. Non-PPR, I mean, does that devalue Rashad White some? Yes. Also, he's playing Carolina. That kind of balances it out. I would love to play H.A.N., right? I probably have James Cook ahead of – it's probably White and James Cook in a vacuum. Like, if we get news that there's going to be no Mostert or something else is going on there that, you know, like he's – like, not that he's ruled out, but that he's not likely to play. And you'll hear that overnight. Go check Adam Schefter's feed. Listen to the pregame show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio with me and Jeff Mans. Sunday, 11 a.m. It's our last one of the year, week 18. Jeff Mans and I will be wrapping up another season of, man, love doing that show with Jeff. It's a fantastic show. Sirius has allowed me to do that, I think, since they started doing it. I've been part of that. Started out with me and Dempsey, then me and Elliot Harrison. For a couple of years, great run with Elliot Harrison. Love that guy, former NFL Network colleague there. Just a great guy. And then me and Mans have done it since. So it's been a fantastic run there and really love doing that show. Hopefully we'll continue doing it going forward. So listen to that and see if we have any news on Mostert. Because H.A.N. would move ahead of Cook for me and maybe White. I mean, Zamir White's a great pick too as well. I mean, Denver defense is, you know, tough. But I have those other guys right ahead of them. It's just where I'm at. Playing for the championship by week 17. After week 17, need 2. Puka, Pickens, Sutton, or DeMarcus Robinson. I'm probably playing Sutton and probably playing Pickens there. I'm not against DeMarcus Robinson, but those are the two to me that stand out. Kill shot. That's a very aggressive name. I like that. Non-PPR. I hope they don't catch a lot of passes. I'm probably going to lean Carr here. I know it's not like the best of matchups. Tyrod Taylor is not a bad play against Philadelphia. I guess it might be. I should have looked at the whole list before I opened my app. It might be. I mean, it's Tua's right there because they are playing for something, right? Tua, Taylor, Tua. Carr's bringing up the tail end of that just based on matchups, right? So I feel like I'm probably. I mean, slightly leaned. It's Tua or Taylor. Tua, Taylor, Carr, Mullins in that order. And Mullins has a great matchup. I get it. Hey, thank you, Christian. I appreciate you. I all those sentiments, I appreciate you following along, and I'm glad you take fantasy football seriously. I take it very seriously too, and myself much less so. Yes, Sigma Bloom, longtime friend, being on the couch is one of my favorite things to do. Love Cecil Lammy. Love some of the newer guys there, Dave Kluge and Alfredo Brown. Drew Davenport, a huge favorite. I'm just going to start naming names. Matt Waldman, one of my closest friends on and off the field. So great group. I mean, like I'm leaving names out of people because there are so many of them. Gary Davenport and I will continue to have some time together. So love all that. Yes. It's supposed to meet. Oh, Christian, I remember that. I remember that. I hope God. I hope you're okay, man. Yeah, I do remember you now. Who is this guy? Like people don't all know. Like, what is this guy and why is he yelling at me about fantasy football? What the? What the? See, I almost swore again, didn't I? You're welcome, Killshot. Appreciate you. Bob helping me to the playoffs where anything can happen for decades. It is true. Anything can happen. It gets crazy in there. So yeah, so really looking forward to the future again. And the circumstances are not, I mean, this is not what I thought as a 62-year-old man I would be starting over. Right. I mean, that's not the plan. Right. And so, and nothing about getting cancer was Emel's plan. We both figured we would be doing this until we were, well, we assume we're invincible, right? I mean, you know, I was watching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame concert thing the other night. There's Willie Nelson sitting there, 90 years old, playing the guitar like he's a kid, man, like he's a kid. And I'm thinking that's something to aspire to, right? So hopefully not as stoned, but every bit as effective. So, but that's, you know, that's like what you're thinking. You're thinking, I'm going to do this. I mean, I have no intention of quitting this. I mean, it's not like taxing physical labor. I hope my mind stays sharp and I want to keep doing this. So, so yeah, so not ideal circumstances. Obviously, everyone knows this. What shocker am I hoping for this weekend? Am I even hoping for a shocker this weekend? I mean, like I feel like this is the easy one. Like everyone's rooting for Dallas to get beat at some point. Looking at all these games, would it be great to see Justin Fields just demolish the Packers? And I don't have any, you know, I have no rooting interest. When I think you guys have been around who know this, guys and ladies, I guess I should say, know this if I've been there. You know, if you ask me what my favorite team is, I don't have one. Right? I hate them all equally. That's my standard line, right? Uh, that's my standard line. Yes, I hate them all equally because I do. I say this is my other line. If you ask a dishwasher what their favorite dish is, it's the cleanest one, right? Because it takes least work. Dame Overboard, Blitz throwing for that's a great one, right? I think that's a great one. But I think I would go with I'm going to go with um I'm gonna go with Justin Fields dominating the Packers, right? Like I know there's a lot of Packers fans, and I'm sorry for that. But I don't know if if y'all watch Good Morning Football. I thought Kyle Brandt's thing about Justin Fields, right? Like there's a decision to be made here. He's got to decide his future. And I was thinking this before I listened to Kyle Brandt's thing, but it was fantastic. It's probably on Twitter somewhere or X. He laid out the case, man. This is your time, man. You've never beat this team in Green Bay. Go beat the Packers. That's what you were brought there to do. That's how you lock up your future as a Chicago Bear or not, right? The audition is ongoing. And, I would like to see teams be more committed to young, talented players, but that's not the world we live in. We live in a world where you win now or you go away. I hope he wins now, and I hope he stays around because I would hate to see him end up playing for Arthur Blank and not being used in ways we like. Arthur Blank. I mean Arthur Smith. I'm channeling my inner police fire. Maybe I'm stoned. I don't know. Me and Willie. More stoned but less effective? Maybe that's where I'm at right now. Packers getting eliminated the final week 2 years in a row would be funny. I know people that don't like the Packers say this. That's not my goal. Like I'm not here. I don't care about the outcomes. I care about that. I think that's the takeaway here is I'm not rooting for teams. I'm rooting for players or against players. And the players I'm rooting against are the players I'm playing against at any given week, and the players I'm rooting for are longer term issues and bigger things. I thought Peter King many years ago wrote something, like he's always asked, like, do sports writers, root for teams? And no, we root for stories. And we root for the narratives we created. We root for the players we stand for. Like, I'm not going to lie. Uh, you think I wasn't rooting for Jameer Chase all season long? Damn right I was. You can go back to the Fantasy Football Expo and listen to or go watch the video. There were a number of us, by the way, who did pretty good on that. Plant your flag players. JJ Zachariason didn't want to draft Najee Harris where he was going. Andy Behrens on Sam Laporta. I was all in on Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think the way I laid out my case is exactly how it played out. And I think my case was, if you're drafting Bijan Robinson in round 1, why not just wait a couple rounds and draft Jahmyr Gibbs for all the same reason you're drafting Bijan Robinson? Maybe in a better offense. Turns out he was. So there you have it. All right, everybody. That's it. It's an hour. Let's see if there's any more questions I missed out on here. This is the right thing. Rooting for chaos, Mr. Joker or Scampers. That's awesome. I love that one. So does Troy Olson. Appreciate y'all coming. So I will be back Wednesday. Tonight, 9 p.m. on this channel. Eric and Jamie, hit the notification bell when that thing goes up, so you know that it starts, and definitely catch that. Catch me again tonight on the radio. Football Diehards, a radio show, 9 p.m. Eastern time until midnight. I'll be on again tomorrow. Final pregame show of the year with Jeff Mans. Looking forward to not being the final one, but doing that show. One of my favorite things to do every week. We have a blast. It moves fast. It's exciting. There's a lot of news and developments as we're doing the show, and a lot of good information goes out. So thank you. See you Wednesday. Over and out from here at Football Diehards headquarters, which is now footballguys.com headquarters. I know. Don't be confused. It will all become clearer as we move forward. I'm Bob Harris. Over and out.